Good day and welcome to the Budding Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Bridges. In each episode, we dive into practical business strategies that you can put to work in your business right away. We also focus on inspiring stories from leaders who are shaking and making things happen in their industry. It's all about giving you the tools and insights to take you and your business to the next level. So get comfortable and let's jump right in. All right. We are on episode 175 of the podcast. Today is Friday, November 29th, 2024. Looking at today's agenda, we're going to focus on a quote from the General and former President Dwight D. Eisenhower. We'll also dive into our primary topic today titled Taming Year-End Chaos, Regaining Focus and Finishing the Year Strong. And then we'll wrap up the episode with a quick sneak peek at next week's topic. So let's kick things off with a quote from Dwight D. Eisenhower, a leader who knew a thing or two about staying productive in high-pressure situations. Keep in mind, he was a general in the Army. He said, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." And this quote forms the basis for the productivity tool we'll be discussing on today, which is the Eisenhower box. First, though, let's look at our core topics. First of all, we mentioned taming year-end chaos, regaining focus and finishing the year strong. Our core topics today, we're going to acknowledge the holiday season and its challenges. We're going to look at the struggle with overwhelm. We're going to find the power of the Eisenhower box, and we're going to take action to prioritize and regain focus through the end of the year. So let's talk about why year-end productivity is challenging. A lot of people say this time of the year feels so heavy, especially for business owners. November and December can feel like you're being pulled in 100 different directions. We all know that feeling. On one side, you've got family obligations. You've got holidays, gifts, events, the works. And on the other, you've got the year-end crunch, finalizing your budgets, closing your deals, wrapping up client projects, and meeting tax deadlines. For me, this used to be the time when I would try to get everything done. I'd squeeze in late-night work sessions after family dinners. I'd be thinking about how I could somehow push through the chaos by my sheer force of will. You know what happened? Burnout. That's right. Tasks started falling through the cracks, and my decision-making got sloppy. I ended up the year feeling more exhausted than accomplished. You see, when we get overwhelmed, we often prioritize urgency over importance. Everything feels critical, and that leads to putting out fires instead of focusing on what really drives the results of your business. If you've ever caught yourself stuck in that cycle, you're not alone. It's easy to get trapped when the pressure is this high. But here's the truth. The most productive people, whether it's in business or life, they don't focus on doing everything. They focus on doing the right things. So let's transition into some ways to tame at least some of this year-end chaos. For me, one of the simplest but most effective tools I've ever used is the Eisenhower box. Now, it's named after Dwight D. Eisenhower, the former U.S. president, and this tool separates tasks into 4 categories based on urgency and importance. Here's how it works. Imagine a box divided into 4 quadrants. Each quadrant answers one big question. Number 1, is it urgent and important? Number 2, is it important but not urgent? Number 3, is it urgent but not important? And number 4, is it neither urgent nor important? Let's start with this first quadrant, urgent and important. These are the things that absolutely can't wait. They're like a client crisis or a deadline that hits today. For me, when I see something in this category, I tackle it right away. But here's the magic. Most of your high-impact tasks live in the second quadrant, important but not urgent. These are things like strategic planning, team development, and even prepping for next year. These tasks are where real growth happens. but they often get pushed aside because they don't scream for attention. I block out time for these tasks every week because they're the ones that actually move the needle in my business. The third quadrant is urgent but not important. These are tasks that feel pressing but don't require my personal attention. Think about routine emails and basic admin tasks. These are perfect for delegation, especially if you have a VA. More on that in next week's episode. And finally, quadrant 4, neither urgent nor important. Let's be real. This is where distractions live. Scrolling through social media, attending unnecessary meetings. The best strategy here is just cut these out entirely. Now, if you're listening and thinking, this sounds great, Randy, but where do I even start? Well, here's a practical tip for you. Start by listing all your current tasks. Then sort them into these 4 categories. It'll feel like a mental reset. I know it does for me. And you, like me, will find and see where you've been spending way too much time. Now, looking at addressing common productivity pitfalls. We all know how easy it is to fall into traps like multitasking or just reacting to what's in front of you. I used to be the multitasking king. I'd be handling client calls and answering emails and planning next week's agenda all at once. Guess what? None of it was getting done well. So I made some changes, and here's what I do now. I give myself focused time blocks. These are specific blocks that are very discrete. They're not more than an hour, usually about a half an hour. And I'll dedicate that 1 hour to reviewing maybe my year-end numbers, and then I'll take a break. Then I'll do an hour of client work. Now, it's not just about scheduling. It's about giving myself permission to focus fully. And this is where the best work gets done, when you're fully engaged in what it is with no other distractions. Now, for you, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's about setting limits on the distractions themselves, right? Turning off your email notifications or saying no to that last minute request that doesn't align with your priorities. Whatever you choose to do, the goal is to stay intentional about where you're putting your energy. Let's look at some actionable steps to close our year very strong. Here's how I like to wrap up the year with a sense of clarity and control. First, I set clear priorities. I ask myself, what's the one thing I absolutely need to finish before the year ends? And then I reverse engineer everything else around that goal using the Eisenhower box to provide me the clarity that I need. Second, I break down my team and I sit down with them and I communicate the priorities, the deadlines, and where I want them to focus to the end of the year. They can choose how they handle it, but I want to give them the focus point. So we're all working towards the same goal. Now, it's not just delegating tasks. This is actually creating alignment with the priorities and the tasks that need to go on. Third, I maintain my own energy. And if anybody knows me, they know I am up at 2 or 3 or 4. And when I get up that early, I also need to take a break in the middle of the day. It's crucial for my own energy. And, these intentional breaks that you might have to take, you can do them as celebrating small wins. And if you can, you might schedule some time as downtime with your family or your spouse or your significant other, right? Your children, your pets. These are times when you can break things down, let the business go, and recharge your own energy. You can't pour from an empty cup after all, right? Now, for you, this may be very different. Here's how a lot of people implement these types of steps when I'm working with them. I'm suggesting this way of handling it. Choose 1 or 2 priorities for the month of December, right? November is almost completely gone at this point, so we're going to be looking at December. We want to share these priorities with our team. Then commit to doing one thing every day to support those priorities, whether that's following up with a client or finishing a key proposal. When you end the year with focus, you set yourself up for success in January and February and March and all of the rest of the months of the next year. So let's do a recap. Today, we talked about the overwhelm that comes with year-end demands and how I use tools like the Eisenhower box to help me regain clarity and focus. You can do the same thing as well. We also covered steps to close out the year strong, including setting clear priorities, aligning with your team, maintaining your energy. You can choose to do, as I said, setting 2 priorities, communicate them to the team, and work every single day to function on one of those priorities, if not both. Next week, we're going to be looking at an episode that is going to be very helpful to work into this process. As we discussed, we're going to be diving into mastering the art of delegation. This is about freeing up your time. If you've ever felt that you're doing everything yourself, we're going to show you how to change that and make it work for you. That's it for this episode. I hope you picked up some valuable insights and maybe even sparked a few new ideas. If you want to keep the conversation going or maybe even explore partnerships, don't hesitate to reach out. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. The steps you take today could be the start of something big tomorrow. For the budding entrepreneur, I wish you the best in your health, your wealth, your business, your family, everything about you. Take care, and we'll see you back here next week.